mindset. We are the best audience in the world. We have the best audience in the world. And I know that all of us together, because many of the things that we say in the classroom are not welcomed by the pharmaceutical industry or by this media, this platform. So all of you need to text, tag, call people, let them know that we have Natasha Beck in the classroom. And so we're going to get started. And so here we go. Okay, everybody, today we have a special day. We have Dr. Organic Mommy. So before you fasten your seatbelt, you better start dancing because we're going to learn and grow together. It's time to be in the moment. Here we go.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning into the classroom for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, if you would have asked me as a child, and this is true, honest truth, anytime as a child, if you would have asked me, what do you want to be when you grew up? I would always say a mommy. I just want to be a mommy. Most kids my brother wanted to be a fire truck, go figure. I wanted to be a mommy. And that was my biggest dream. And when you become a mom, all of a sudden, whatever career you have, whatever, you try to balance everything. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you get to do some very creative things to create and supplement your income. But how wonderful and gifted are you when you can combine what you do with your children as well? And so we have Natasha Beck, PhD, and she has a doctorate in clinical psychology and specializing in pediatric neuropsychology. How wonderful that she has dedicated her career to not only just tell us about her experiences as a mom and watch her grow and us grow with her, but she's also Dr. Organic Mommy. She is known as that in her industry. And so since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, we're going to learn today how to have a toxic-free environment. So welcome, Dr. Natasha, to the classroom.
Thank you so much for having me, Lillian. I'm really happy to be here.
Well, I am so happy that you are here as well. So, I didn't, in our prepping and talking about a bunch of stuff and getting things organized, I didn't ask you, what is your preference to, is it Natasha or Dr. Beck or?
Natasha is fine.
Perfect. Okay. So I wanted to make sure. I want to make sure I honor you in the way that you've worked really hard in your career. And so I just want to honor that. So let's start from the very beginning. This is the first time that you've been in the classroom, and maybe some people don't know who you are. Share a little about your background and what led you to this passion of yours, not only to be Dr. Organic Mommy, but also you have a journey on being toxin-free in your home and your environment. So
for
share a little bit about that.
So I have 4 children, 8, 6, 4, and 7 months. So first and foremost, a mom. And just like you said, I always also wanted to be a mom when I grew up. I just love children, but I knew I always wanted to work with children. As a child, I was actually diagnosed with dyslexia, which is now known as reading disorder, as well as ADHD. And so I went through my life trying to figure out how to help others. I was fortunate enough to have a lot of opportunities. And so I wanted to go into a field that was similar where I could actually help children. And so when I started working in various clinics, I noticed the impact of diet on our children. And I was doing comprehensive testing on children, looking at everything from language to visual perceptual skills, to fine motor skills, et cetera. And I would write up reports recommending certain things. And I found that diet was never addressed. And when we actually look at our children's diet, it really impacts everything. And so I started, adding that into my recommendations because I noticed kids were coming in, whether they were bringing in McDonald's for breakfast and sitting down to get tested, I couldn't actually get them to focus. And it wasn't just, the fact that they had a genetic predisposition to ADHD. There were environmental things going on, such as diet. And then as I had, when I had my first child, that's when I started realizing the impact of environmental toxins, because my first child, when he was 7 weeks old, was actually hospitalized for a month. And we couldn't figure out the reason behind it. He had he had a viral infection plus a bacterial infection. And I started to question the environmental toxins around us. And so I started to remove more and more things and took a deeper dive into the research.
Wow. Wow. And here you are, Dr. Organic Mommy. And this journey began with that incident. And I believe that most of us stumble upon natural health or get hit by it because maybe allopathic medicine or that route, conventional medicine, did not work for them. And it's because of necessity. And what a beautiful gift that was at the beginning of having children, to be able to learn how to detoxify your environment. Good for you. Most parents don't. Most parents, I've seen a lot of parents today where their kids are all scaly, their cheeks are red, they're
They think
overweight.
it's normal. They think it's normal. And they said, it'll go away.
That's right. We have made disease normal.
Yeah.
Like if there's nothing wrong with you, people will be shocked.
Yeah.
Everybody has something that's wrong with them. So let's talk about toxic-free living. And what does that mean to have a plan to be toxic-free?
I think the phrase toxic-free is overwhelming for a lot of people. So let's just break it down, because when you think, there's just so many toxins out there, where do I start? And I want to remind the audience today to start small, because if you try to change everything at once, it can overwhelm you to a point where you actually have social toxins, which what I mean by that is stress. And stress can also cause damage to your body. So you want to just be mindful of that and replace one thing at a time. Start small. When you run out of one item, think, can I replace it with something better? Or do I actually even need this item? Because often we're told, and as consumers, we're buying more things, and we need, all these different cleaning products for, all these different items. But in reality, we really don't. You only need a couple things, and that's it. And they clean mostly everything. And so we just want to keep that in mind. And the next thing you also want to keep in mind is, I think I hear a lot of parents say, well, I had it as a child, I was fine, or what's wrong with this? The problem is that society not only has changed, in terms of our media usage and, the toxins that we've introduced, the chemicals that we've introduced, we've increased the number of, artificial dyes by 500% in the last 50 years. And the toxins have changed. So we've added more and more. And the problem with that is that it accumulates. We have a liver, we can naturally detoxify some things in our body, but at a certain point it adds up and it just flows over. And how does it flow over? You get brain fog, you have eczema, you have attention problems, and the list goes on and on and on. And so I think that is something to keep in mind. So we're just trying to teach everybody and educate so that we can lower our load.
I love this conversation because this is, I had mentioned to you off the air that we're in the process of detoxifying from mold. And we have the M Cube detox experience, which anybody can join at any time because we're recording everything. And we're learning so much. But when I first started thinking about what we had to do, it was so overwhelming.
Yeah.
That I would think that most people would just ignore it, and they don't realize that that could turn into cancer. It could turn into a serious disease, because mold is created when your body is decomposing, not when you're alive.
Yeah.
And so when people are all of a sudden feel that overwhelmed, they'll go, someone's got to die from something,
Right.
and I always say to them, but I know everybody's going to die, but how do you want to live? How do you want to live? So I'm excited to be able to bring you into the classroom so that you can share some simple tips, and so that they can start step 1, step 2. And I love that concept. Don't throw away anything right now. Just let it go. You've been using it. Might as well use it until it ends. And then now ask the question, is it better? Can I get something better and simpler? Or
is it necessary?
Or is it necessary? I know I stopped using a lot of my products when I found it was Norwex and the silver sheets. And so now when when my cleaning lady come over, they go, "Oh, you don't want Windex? No Windex. No 407. No 407. So share a little bit more about all the things that you've discovered that you didn't need, that you said, I don't need this anymore.
Well, like you said, like you have your cleaning products. I mean, you're marketed to have, there's marketing out there that you need, 30 different cleaning products for every different, tile, window, outdoor, indoor, bathroom, closet, kitchen, when in reality, you can just simplify it. And there's companies out there that are doing better. And I'm not associated with any of these companies, just to preface that. But like Branch Basics or Molly's Suds, they are doing, simplifying things that you can actually, just have one product, or you can even just have Castile soap, vinegar, and baking soda and water. Those things clean like 99% of things in your home. And so if you just simplify it, you don't have to overcomplicate things and think that you need to buy all these products. And in the end, it's actually cheaper.
Absolutely. And that's a thing. People think, well, I don't have that money. I don't have that kind of money. I don't have money to go organic. I don't have it. And so they justify their comfort. But when you mention it like that, wow, I could just save money. Now you're changing that perspective, which is so important. What else would you say needs to change?
Oh, that's a loaded question, because I think there's so many.
We'll start with maybe different rooms or different environments. Like I know that topically we talk about Keep Me Safe Organics here all the time, which are beauty products from head to toe. The chemicals in there. Can you share a little bit about chemicals in our beauty products, lotions that we put on our babies?
Sure. I think that's a big one, because people don't realize that our skin is our largest organ and things get absorbed through our skin. It's a misnomer that nothing actually penetrates the skin. It does. And so we've got things like parabens, phthalates, bisphenols that are in a lot of these products, such as things that you mentioned, like lotions or body wash. Body wash has sulfates that can be, carcinogenic, and the parabens and phthalates and bisphenols that can impact our endocrine system and our reproductive system. And so I think the biggest questions are, what are these things? So let's talk about bisphenols. I think that's the thing that most people are familiar with, but they know it as BPA, because there was this big, event that happened where everything was BPA free, right? Oh, okay, this is BPA free. We took out the BPA. So what are bisphenols? Bisphenols are a chemical substance that are added to plastics for polycarbonates, plastics that are like harder plastics, or epoxy resins that are found in cans. And so the problem with this is that you're ending up with tons of microplastics in your system. And why is that a problem? Plastics can have these bisphenols that actually impact your endocrine system, your reproductive system, you're having difficulty with fertility, you're having an earlier onset of puberty, it's linked to a number of different cancers. And so they took out BPA, but the problem is they introduced other bisphenols, BPS, BPF, and so which are, if not equally, or if not more harmful to you, unfortunately. And so when you can, try to avoid, drinking water out of a plastic water bottle, get a reusable bottle, get a glass bottle, a stainless steel bottle. When you can, instead of having plastic containers, switch it for food, switch out to glass Tupperware. They last longer, so you're not constantly having to repurchase your plastic products. They last. I mean, I've had my glass Tupperware for 10 years. They last and last. And the other thing, if you do have plastic, the things that you can do to avoid having more plastic leach into your food is avoid heat and anything acidic, because heat and acidity will break down the plastic more. So it actually enters your food, it enters your liquid, and then you're consuming it. And then it's the same thing in some of your products. They have these things that are parabens and phthalates. They're in the products that because the reason they're there is to not have the product go bad so quickly, so it can sit on the shelf for so long. It's the same thing with some of our foods. Like, why is milk sitting on the shelf for 3 months? Like, how is that possible? And if you think about breast milk, it only lasts for 3 to 5 days in the fridge?
Yeah,
why
you
do you
better
want
freeze
to,
it.
right? Or freeze it. Why do you want to drink milk that can last for, several months, or apply a beauty product that can last years sitting on your counter? And so these are just things to be mindful of. I don't want you to rush into your bathroom and start to say, all right, we have to throw everything away, because that's stressful. So when you run out, just choose a better product. And I do have lots of recommendations on my site. I'm not affiliated with any of these things. I try them all out myself. And I see what I like, and I research them and see which brands are better. And when I can, I try to find things that are also cheaper, like cleaning products. Clean Mama has a great website where she actually shows you how to do it yourself and make all these cleaning products for a wood surface, a marble surface, or whatever surface you have, just from vinegar, Castile soap, baking soda, and water. Wow. And so it can be more simple than people think it is.
It's amazing. When you mentioned those products, you could probably make so much out of those products combined, and it's so inexpensive.
Yeah, you buy it in bulk.
Yes, you buy them in bulk. And what's so funny is baking soda. When you think of baking soda, you just stick it in your refrigerator. That's the purpose of it.
Right.
But you can brush your teeth with it. You can, there's so
I put it
many
on on stains on my clothes.
Yes.
Anytime my dogs throw up or poop on the floor, baking soda.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And hydrogen peroxide. I used to get hydrogen peroxide and it would expire. I wouldn't even use it. But now I use it for nebulizing. I use it for, so many things. I dilute it and I use it on my skin as well. And it's just a wonderful tool. And when you get a big thing for 89 cents versus, something else that's going to cost $100, well, that's how you save money. We've got to be wise about these things. We've bought into the marketing of these products, which is like, you've got to have it. You don't have to have it. So we're talking about the body. We've talked about, is there anything else about the body that because BPS, BPF that you talked about, they changed the name from BPA to BPS at BPF. What about people that are microwaving their plastic or putting it in the microwave and microwaving it?
So that's what I meant by heat and acidity. So we want to avoid putting it in the microwave. Don't wash your plastics in the dishwasher. Even the American Academy of Pediatrics came out in 2012, I believe, that said, actually stop using plastic baby bottles, stop using plastic parts for your babies, because they're being exposed to so much. I think we came out, there was a study that showed that people are eating a credit card worth of plastic every week.
Oh, wow.
I mean, can you imagine eating a credit card? And then imagine for babies, they're just constantly getting it from so many different sources.
Mm.
So if you do have plastic baby bottles, do not heat them, do not, so that's also the other concern of, well, how do you heat the milk? And this is why if you can invest in a glass baby bottle, that's something I would definitely do for your baby if you're being bottle fed, because it just you have to heat the milk. It's just easier for the baby to take and to digest when it is heated. And you don't have to worry about the plastic actually breaking down.
Mm. Very good. Very good tips. So let's move into the kitchen, because we talked about some cleaning products and everything, but I know that you come bearing gifts. Why don't you share, Natasha, what you're giving away?
One of my favorite Field Company pans. I just happen to love this company. I've tried out so many different cast irons. I think it's a great product because it's more lightweight than some of the typical cast iron pans. It's seasoned with organic oils, so you can go right into using it. And over time, it actually becomes more nonstick the more you use it. It's not ever going to be nonstick because there is no such thing. Unfortunately, I know lots of people ask me, well, what's the best nonstick pan? Mm-hmm. There is no such thing as a non-toxic nonstick pan.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. So for those of you who are interested in getting the pan,
Field Company pan,
the Field Company pan, you can text me at 407-373-5959 on Friday of next week. So I'm going to give you guys, the podcast people, everybody who's watching on BitChute and Odyssey, you have a chance to, once you text me at 407-373-5959, your name will be entered into the winner's basket. And next Friday, which I don't know what day it is, next Friday, I think it's the 21st. Let me just give you, the 21st of October. Let me write it down so I keep my word. We will pick one name, and then I'll let you know if you're the winner, and then I'll get your contact information. Now, if you live outside of the United States, you're responsible for paying for shipping, but Natasha's going to be sending it to you if you live in the United States. So, but if you want to join and you're listening in Canada or other places around the world, which we're heard worldwide, then you can join, but as long as you pay for the shipping, right? Is that a good plan, Natasha?
Yep. Sounds like a great plan.
It sounds like a good plan. So let's move into the kitchen. I mean, we talked about the cans and the plastic, which also belong in the kitchen, but and products. So what else do we need to become aware of?
So a lot of the pans out there, not the cast iron, but your nonstick pans that typically you see with the black coating have something called PFAS, which are polyfluoroalkyl substances. Most people will know this as Teflon. Now, Teflon has now been banned, but they unfortunately have this umbrella of PFAS chemicals that are forever chemicals. They don't break down. Though there has been some new science showing that they're trying to find ways to actually help break it down. But the problem with these forever chemicals, they've found that it's actually in the umbilical cord of babies. So before they're even entering the world, they're finding them in the umbilical cord. And it's because they don't break down. And it's a problem because it impacts so many different systems. Now, I'll talk about that later. But first, I want to talk about, the polyfluoroalkyl substances and how you'll see the marketing, okay? Because you'll see a pan that says, oh, it's PFOA free or PFOE free. But unfortunately, there's hundreds of different PFAS chemicals. And so then when they say they don't have one, they just add in another. And the way they do that is to create that nonstick surface. There is no such thing as a nonstick cookware. And so when you want to get rid of those pans and replace them. Anytime you have a scratch on them, they are going to leach into your food, and they do break down over time. Cast irons last for years. My brother-in-law has a cast iron from his grandmother from like 50 years ago, and it's amazing, and he still uses it, and it's like the best pan ever. And so these are heirloom items that you will pass down to your children. And so I know there's somewhat of a learning curve with it. I have a highlight on my Instagram page of how to clean it. It takes 2 minutes to clean it, but in the long run, it's actually healthier for you. And So that's why I emphasize to try and get rid of the nonstick cookware. You can also use stainless steel, which is something I also use. So you just want to be mindful with stainless steel that you don't want to use metal on metal because it can scratch, because stainless steel typically has an aluminum core or a copper core to create an even cooking platform for your
Say more about that, because you're talking about the base. So when you say metal on metal, are you talking about the metal spoon? Or are you
metal spoon, metal spatula? So you don't want to scratch off the layers. So typically they have a layer of aluminum, like an all-clad pan, a layer of aluminum and a layer of stainless steel, and then a layer of aluminum, layer of stainless steel, and so on, depending on which the D5 or D3 that you get depends on how many layers you have. And so aluminum, of course, is a toxin that we do also want to avoid. But it takes a while to actually break down. As long as you don't use metal and you're not scratching it, then you're okay. So we're going to want to avoid that. We're going to use a silicone spatula or a wood spatula or spoon to cook in our stainless steel pans and pots.
Interesting. I did not know that. I got rid of all my plastic. I got many years ago, and I got rid of all my like wooden spoons, and because I always wondered, are they really clean? And so and then it's like, does the wooden spoon have
bacteria in it or glues? So you want to look for, this is with wooden spoons, wooden cutting boards. And, I like to introduce these things later because it can be overwhelming to think, oh, well, do I have to get rid of these things? Don't get rid of these things. So your wooden cutting boards, your wooden spoons, you want to try and find things that are solid wood, meaning that they don't take wood and they don't glue them together, because those glues can get into our food. So when you can, try to buy just a solid wood. And as far as bacteria go, I have things that are separate for if you do eat meat, don't use a wooden spoon. I'll use silicone instead. If you're just I have my wooden spoons for oatmeal or veggies, and that's what I use those wooden spoons for. And then you're always just going to make sure never to have them wet. So if you do wet them, and you're cooking sauce or stir frying some veggies, you're going to clean it off and rinse it and dry it. You never want to leave it in your sink because that can lead to mold and then bacteria build up. So you always want to dry it off with your dish towel and then leave it onto a drying rack. Just never leave it in the sink wet.
See, we learn something new every day. Every day we learn something new. That's what I love about us coming together and learning together. I've never heard about the layering. I'm very particular about my stainless steel pans. I'm very particular about my stainless steel spoons, and I read if it has aluminum in it, I throw it away. I stopped using disposable aluminum anything. And I used to buy them by the boxes, and when the kids were little, I used to
aluminum foil and write them everything.
A busy mom. I used to do all that stuff because
but
it was the new thing.
A little trick you can use is unbleached parchment paper. So if you want to cook a potato in the oven, you can take unbleached parchment paper, wrap the potato in it, and then you can put the aluminum foil to seal it if you want. So that way you're having a barrier of the aluminum foil with the unbleached parchment paper.
Yeah, that's what we started doing. Anytime I use aluminum foil, I put the unbleached parchment paper on it. But I was concerned about the wax that sometimes they have. Is that dangerous, the wax?
So the wax typically is a silicone base. So you don't want to overheat, get it above 350 degrees. There's not enough science right now showing any kind of impacts of too much heat on silicone, but I'm skeptical. And so that's why I like to keep it at 350. If you're going to use unbleached parchment paper. So you're thinking, well, what do you use instead when you do a sheet pan meal? Try to find stainless steel sheet pans, and they do make them. I have some on my Amazon shop. You can easily, look for them. And if you do shop through my shop, all the proceeds go, everything I make, all the proceeds go to charity.
Nice.
And so you just want to be mindful of, trying to buy stainless steel cookware when you can, especially when you're roasting veggies. You don't need to use unbleached parchment paper. If you do have, I'd rather use, honestly, aluminum cookie sheet than a non-stick cookie sheet.
Oh, wow.
And if you're going to use, that's how much I do not like non-stick because
Wow,
of
that's
the
a big
harmful
deal.
impacts. And if you still don't believe me about the harmful impacts of PFAS, then I encourage you to watch a documentary called The Devil We Know. It was a really well-made, fascinating documentary all about PFAS and the harmful effects that they found it to have, and showing how it really impacted not just the community, but the larger community and now our world, because it's in our soil, it's in our water, it's in our food, it's in our air. And so, how do we lessen our load is the point. So if you do have an aluminum cookie sheet, you can just put some unbleached parchment paper on top too, so you don't get the aluminum into your food.
Wow, that's, in every home that I've gone to, I mean, I threw out all of my Teflon coating. As a matter of fact, my daughter, one of my daughters wanted to take them because hers was really bad, so she took mine. At the time, I knew that, I mean, they weren't so bad. I just wanted to get rid of my Teflon.
Yeah.
But then when I went to visit her, I saw that there were cuts in it. And so for Christmas, I gave her a set of stainless steel set of cookware for Christmas. But it's amazing how many people hold on to their their pans.
They're used to it because we're in a society where we're rushing. It's convenience. We need to move faster and faster, when in reality, we actually need to slow down. We've been given the gift of like so much education, so much time. We've got these cell phones that we get information at the tips of our hands.
Yes.
And it can be so much that we actually need to go the opposite and go slower.
Yeah, we've become distracted. We're so distracted that we don't see harm coming at us and we go towards it. We're the opposite of animals. Our instincts have been destroyed through media and marketing. It's like you'll see somebody who says, I have diabetes and I take this drug, and you'll see this beautiful images in the background, the B-roll, where they're playing and they're having fun and they're laughing. And then while you're watching all this, it's giving you disclaimers. It may cause blindness, muscle cramps, diarrhea, even death. And everybody's like, oh man, I can just be out on the beach. We don't hear all these things. We're so distracted. So
we just want that quick fix, I think, is the problem. In reality, it is hard to implement changes in our diet and change things in our home. But this is why I talk about baby steps, small things at a time. And I honestly, I encourage you and implore you to do this because it will make such a difference. I myself noticed the difference with even being diagnosed with ADHD when I changed my diet, when I changed my environment. I've noticed the impact. I still have ADD, but it's a lot easier for me to focus and have that attention and not have that brain fog that's there.
Wow. I actually think ADD is a gift because we can do multiple things at the same time and do them well. It's the focusing. And I know that, people with ADD or ADHD, they can hyper focus.
Hyper-focus. Yeah. Yes. When you're in your hyper-focus, you can get so much done.
So much done. So, everything has a beauty. Everything is beautiful on the other side. So even ADHD is beautiful. And I'm sure you see that with all the children that you've helped through your career. And so we're going to continue talking about all the different ways that we can improve our environment in our home. But before we continue this, I just want to remind you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. And while you're there, please subscribe. This is where we come together and take ownership, take responsibility for our life. Don't just go through the white coat trance and say, I hear and obey. It is time to take your health back. And these are baby steps that we can take little by little, that you can improve your health. And so go to whenyouneedafriend.com. While there, please subscribe, like, and follow me on all social media. And by the way, if you're a subscriber, then you already have all of Natasha Beck's information. Just click on her name and it'll take you to her website. And that's how easy it is. I know that we want things to be easy, so we make it as easy for you as possible. Check out my sponsor, and also when you're there, support them. the way that they're supporting the classroom. Also, I have a Shop Now bag. In this Shop Now bag, you will find a lot of Lilly approved products. Some of them are affiliates, some of them are not. And so I just want you to know that these are products that I approve of. One in particular, where we're talking about, actually, there's a couple of them. National Allergy has a lot of environmental stuff that works with. I don't make any money of them, but I love their products. And Keep Me Safe Organics, they even have so make you aware of all the ingredients that you need to look at. So if you want a picture of this, text me and I'll send it to you. That way you can look at all the ingredients that you have that are harming you, that are not allowed in Europe. They're not allowed anywhere but the United States, because we are so liberal like that. We are so welcoming of all these bugs and viruses so that we can be medicated to get better. And so, so check out my Shop Now bag. And that's a way that you can support the classroom as well. And they're all Lilly approved. And last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom. And whether it's $1 or $1,000 a month or a one-time fee, whatever it is that you can give, your time, your talent, your treasure, we're constantly in need of help. So please consider helping us in any way you can, because it will help grow the classroom. And today we have Dr. Natasha Beck in the classroom. She's also known as Dr. Organic Mommy. And we are so excited that she's in. She's helping us simplify our life, just clean up our environment. And so I want to thank you very much, Natasha, for being in the classroom today and sharing your wisdom.
Thank you. Of course.
So,
Happy to be here.
yeah, so we talked about the kitchen. Is there anything in the kitchen that you can that you would like to point out?
Well, we've addressed cookware. We've addressed some of, switching our plastic containers to glassware. But I think, when we're talking about the kitchen, let's talk about food. Sugar, I think, is the number one drug of our children's generation today. And what people don't realize, it's 8 times more addictive than cocaine.
Yeah.
But people will often ask, well, what's the problem with the little sugar? Let my child live. It's fine. Well, I'm going to tell you what the problem with sugar is. We are overloading our children with sugar. And even as adults, we don't realize how much sugar we're getting, but especially children, because it's in everything. Now they've even made a law where you actually have to have on the nutrition facts added sugar, because it was hidden before. We had no idea how much sugar was there. And we're only supposed to have like 24 grams of sugar a day. That's from 2 to 18. So I love the book, Sugar Proof Kids. It's just called Sugar Proof, actually. By Dr. Michael Garan and Emily Ventura. And they actually went through and wrote out how much sugar you should have by age from 2 to 18, because a 2-year-old is not the same size as an 18-year-old. And so they go through and, it's 14 grams, 16 grams, and based on a child's size and weight and age. And the problem with sugar is that you may think, oh, well, my child is not overweight or obese, they're fine. But sugar has so many implications to the body. It causes fatty liver disease. It causes cognitive problems. It has difficulty focusing in the classroom. You think, oh, my child's going to have some cereal, cup of orange juice, and a muffin. And then guess what? Their insulin levels spike because they don't have any, fat or protein, healthy fat or proteins that can help balance that out, or even fiber. There's no fiber in the meal I just listed for breakfast. And then they get to the classroom, and an hour later, not only are they hungry, but they're angry. So, you've heard that term, hangry. And then how does that come out into behavioral issues in the classroom? The teacher then refers you out and says, oh, they need to be referred out for oppositional defiant disorder, ADHD. And then they get medicated. And when in reality, we just need to actually change their diet. That's one thing that we can do, that we have control of, And so, as I mentioned, with the fatty liver disease, the cognitive problems, the list goes on, diabetes. They've even seen that, there's impacts with leading up to Alzheimer's.
That's right. Dementia 3, they're calling it diabetes 3.
Yeah, because of so much sugar, and sugar is everywhere. And that's a big problem today.
And it's really sad. I used to be addicted to sugar.
Same,
I
100%. I
was a
ate all the candy, the artificial dyes, everything.
Yeah, I didn't care. I mean, I didn't know any better. But once you
Yeah.
know better, you do better. I did I was challenged to go raw vegan for a month. That was on the show. Somebody challenged me to go raw vegan, and that was back in 2012. And I said, bring it. I'll do anything as long as it doesn't harm my body and it's legal. And so that fell on that. And so I said, okay, I mean, I would always make fun of vegans, and I would say, like, who would want to give up meat? I mean, like, who would do that, right? After 4 days of being raw vegan, I felt so good, but I didn't feel bad. I just didn't know I could feel better. Most people don't understand that they could feel better.
Yeah.
And I'm the first one to admit that on a cruise, my husband and I, there was this guy was making cotton candy, and he made it. It was like 5 feet long. I ate the whole thing. And it was red. It was like pink. And so I'm sure I had the dye with it too. And so, we don't even realize when we're addicted, we don't even realize what we're doing.
And that's the problem, is that, you may think, oh, sugar is just in these sugary, treats or whatnot, like cotton candy, but they're hiding it in other places. It's in your ketchup. It's in your pasta sauce. It's in your yogurt. It's even in bread. And why are they adding so much sugar? Because either they're taking out the fat, and because it's cheaper, or it was in the fad in the 80s and 90s when I grew up, and then they use it because they need to add preservatives to these foods to let them last longer, but then the taste dissipates, and then we need more sugar because our taste buds are used to it. So I encourage you, if your children are addicted to sugar, they're wanting so much sugar, to detox off of it. You can either, do it a week and a month, but just detox off of it. You can do it. It will be hard. Your children will complain, they will tantrum, but let them be disappointed. I always tell parents, we need to teach our children how to learn how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And they're going to go through challenges in their life where they need to actually face disappointment, feel annoyed and frustrated. So we can help teach them how to build up those frustration tolerance skills. And part of it comes with probably detoxing them off of sugar. And I 9 times out of 10, I will bet that they will actually be calmer, be kinder, be more regulated, and you will see a difference.
The problem is the parents. The parents are addicted to sugar too.
Yeah, it's hard.
And I would say I would love to see the parents detoxify from sugar. That's what I did. I mean, after 1 month of not eating sugar or anything processed, when I went back to maybe having some juice or whatever, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so sweet.
It's
and
too
it
much.
it was too much, but you don't, because your body is, your tongue is coated, you don't, and your brain is all foggy, you don't realize how good you feel when you give it up.
But your taste buds actually change every 2
do.
weeks. Every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so you can get off of it. It's just, I think it's that hurdle of trying to figure out how to do it. And then also what you said and mentioned about parents. If you are not modeling it for your children can't do it. Right. If you are not modeling how to be kind, your children aren't going to be kind. Same thing with how you eat. If you're not able to, refrain from eating the Oreo cookies or whatnot, your children are not going to be able to do that either.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I listen to you speak, I feel like you belong in my generation, because that's how we raised our children. But the children, the adults today, haven't adapted in a way that it's like disposable, quick. They have such busy lives, they don't have time to stop, and let alone make sure that they stop it long enough for their children, and make sure that they're getting what they need, the basic needs like nutrients. I
think that we're so rushed as a society, and we feel this pressure, even with media. There's so much, people don't realize the toxic effects of media, even with children, there's so much vibrant colors in media now, especially in children's shows, because they want to get them addicted. They want them watching those shows. And there's so many colors and bright images, and they're moving the camera back and forth. But what does that do? That means, when they eat a food, if the color doesn't look vibrant, well, I'm not going to eat it. So what happens? How do we make those things vibrant? artificial dyes. That's why companies don't want to use natural dyes like beetroot extract or beta carotene, like, the orange from the carrot, because it's not as vibrant. So our kids are craving more vibrant foods because we're also being exposed to more vibrant colors in media. So it's a, it's an effect that is a cumulative effect of from so many different avenues that we're getting. And so we're just trying to find ways to lessen and lighten our load.
Oh, it's so refreshing to hear you speak, because it's difficult sometimes. Not everybody thinks like us, and sometimes I've learned to bite my tongue. I've just learned to just, I had my own journey, just like you've had your own
we
journey.
Can't force it on people.
Yeah,
and I think that's hard, but you have to do what works best for your family. And I often get this question of like, well, how do my family members don't believe this, or my friends give me crap about it? How do I do it? And I often just say, well, this is what works best for our family. You have to do what works best for your family. Please just respect what I'm doing.
Let me tell you, we have a no shoes policy. There's a sign on the front door that says, if you're wearing shoes, you're overdressed. It's not that I want people to strip down. I just want them to take off their shoes. They come in, and the heck the people give us for it. And my husband and I were talking, and we're saying, well, maybe we should just stop doing that. It's so, uncomfortable for people. But I have socks I give away. I've given away flip-flops. I've given away just to make it comfortable for them. But this is my home. I don't want that stuff. So let's talk about the toxins that people pick up on the street and bring it into their home.
Sure. People don't realize all the bacteria and viruses, they're actually on your shoes, and so that's an easy, free thing that you can do, because people don't realize that the indoor air is actually more polluted than outdoor air, which I think is shocking for a lot of people. Why is that? It's because they're putting PFAS chemicals on your carpet, your rugs, PFAS is even in your floss, to make it so easier to glide. Thank you.
Mine don't glide.
So, right, you switch those out, but it's in your carpets, your rugs, your couches, you've got flame retardant on things. So the indoor air has become more polluted. And one thing you can do is, you can get an air purifier, but they are expensive. But what can you do instead? Stop bringing in those chemicals that are on the bottom of your shoes indoors. So keep your shoes outside. And I also have a sign outside. It's easier, I think, when you have little ones, because you can say, oh, little ones, our hands are on the floor, please don't bring in what you have on your feet onto our floors. Etsy has these catchy little phrases that you can kind of put on a sign.
I'll have to check it out. My sign is getting a little worn, but go ahead, keep going.
Yes. And so that's just an easy thing, free thing that you can do. Opening your windows, making sure that you have some outdoor air coming in, so you're not breathing all those things in. You'll see, like, on a sunny day where you actually have some sunlight coming in through a window, you'll see all those speckled things floating in the air, and you don't realize that you're actually breathing all those things in. And it's tough, because you're getting chemicals absorbed that way. So when you do have the budget to get an air purifier, the ones I like are IQ Air, Austin Air. Those are great air purifiers that actually have HEPA filters. They can get down to really, really tiny substances that they can filter out so many things in your air that you actually breathe better. So many people feel better when they have asthma or allergies to dogs, or environmental allergies, or eczema, or even just have problems with sleep. Sleep is the other thing that we're not taking into consideration. So sugar is the number one drug. And then we're also having lots of sleep issues, not only with kids, but with adults. There's a lot of other factors going on with sleep that could be just a whole another episode of the structure of the mouth, pureed foods, mouth breathing, all of that, and not actually breathing through your nose. But sleep is a problem. We are rushed as a society. We're not having our life senses, taken into consideration. Our children aren't napping enough. They're skipping out on naps at 2 years old. So they're becoming dysregulated, and then they're getting diagnosed with ADHD. And so it's this domino effect that's happening, when we can try and figure out, okay, how do we simplify? How do we have less toxins in our life to make us feel better?
Yes, yes. And I just want to remind everybody that we have a giveaway, and it's a What Show the Pan from Field Company. And Natasha's giving one away. All you need to do is text me at 407-373-5959, and we'll enter your name in the winner's basket. And October 21st, we will draw. So that way, if you're listening on podcasts or YouTube or BitChute, whatever you're listening, if you're not listening live, at least you know you have until Friday, October 21st to text me and let me know that you would like the Field Company cast iron pan, and we will get it to you. So I'll draw one name. So get all your names in, and I'm so excited. Thank you so much for your generosity in bringing that gift.
Of course.
So I have to tell you, I had someone be so resistant about taking off their shoes that he actually licked the bottom of his shoe. He said, my bottom of my shoe is cleaner than your floor. And I went, okay. And he goes, I'm not gonna take my shoes. And he stayed in the foyer. And then he finally took off his shoe and he licked it, and to prove to me. And I've never seen him again. No, I'm just kidding. But but it's one of those things. People get so engaged or so about being right about their beliefs, and these beliefs supported us when we were children, but when you know better, you do better. So when it comes to sleep and we're talking about toxic thoughts, we're talking about environment and cleaning the air. Is there anything else that you could think of that can improve the quality of our home and our lives that you would like to discuss?
I think it's just, again, recognizing that social toxins can be worse than chemical toxins. So one thing at a time, try not to stress or fret about what you've done in the past, and change one thing at a time. And when you can replace something, great. When you can afford a different product, great. But there are lots of free things that you can do. I have a whole list of free things that you can do to lighten your toxic load on my page as well.
Okay. Do you want to share anything, or have you already discussed it? Any quick?
Sure. It's on, I've got an Instagram, Dr. Organic Mommy, or you go to my website, drorganicmommy.com. Okay. Tons of videos and information that I provide for free to everyone, so that we can just try to educate as much as we can.
Very good. And if you guys have any questions, you can type in a queue and write your questions down for Natasha. I didn't say that the whole entire time, so if you're welcome to ask any questions. One of the things, just like the wooden spoons today and the silver spoon, stainless spoon that you talked about today, I had a guest in the classroom, and she talked about how toilet paper towels had BPA.
They do. And they have chlorine too, unfortunately. They're dyed white so that they can have chlorine. So I personally like the
So they
toilet
have
paper.
What?
Chlorine.
Oh, okay.
To dye them white, because people don't want to use the brown paper, the undyed paper. So you want to look for total chlorine-free, TCF. Same thing with your diapers. Diapers have chlorine. And so and chlorine can be very, irritated to your skin. And this is why when you're going into like a pool and it's a chlorine pool, it can be irritating. You can feel dry afterwards, you get red patches. So I personally love Tushy toilet paper. It's a total chlorine-free toilet paper. Sometimes you do have to get used to the brown paper. Still feels nicer on your bum. Trying to replace paper towels with reusable dishcloths. I have a whole thing of organic dishcloths. They have a lot of different companies out there right now, and I just keep them in a basket. And so I'm also being better about being more sustainable for our environment.
Well, there's so much. I think we need to have a part 2 to this, because we still haven't talked about detergents for washing our laundry and all those things, and some of the chemicals that we may want to look at eliminating in our life. It's amazing. We have a bidet. we have a bidet. And when I asked her, I said, what do you use? I asked her and she said, Old Towels. So I wrote, and I said, I thought a company called Old Towels. And I'm like, what company is that? And she goes, Old Towels. So she said, so use a bidet and then use an old towel and then put it in a little basket and then wash it, just like they used to do with diapers a long time ago. They used to wash the diapers in really, really hot water. So that's something that's cheap there too. But, you think about all these tissues that we're putting them in our nose, and that's a very sensitive area in our body. So there's so many different ways that we can take our health back. One of them are just really simple tips. And so thank you so much, Natasha. This has been great. If somebody were to walk in right now and say, one tip, what's the first thing I need to do? What do I need to get rid of to get started? What would you say?
Plastic.
Plastic.
As much plastic as possible. Replace the glass Tupperware, glass bottle. That would be my number one.
Okay, so I'm being told that there is music playing in the background, but we don't hear any music playing in the background. So I don't know if you want to start that one again, Robert, because it's not even playing. There we go. Oh, there we go. Okay, so can you rewind that a little bit? Because I want to do my outro. So, okay, please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. Natasha Beck wishing you love, peace, joy,
The opinions and advice
unexpected
expressed on the
abundance.
Lillian
Make it the
McDermott
best
radio
day
show are intended for the
ever.
individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Okay, well, that music showed up and we didn't even hear it. So I'm so grateful to you. Let me do a better wrap up here. I'm so grateful for you and everything that you're doing. Thank you, especially at your age and the way that you're raising 4 responsible kids that are aware of the earth. I mean, there's so many different things we could have talked about, grounding and being in nature and everything that you're doing.
I know we didn't get to address like part of like sugar, like how do we get our kids off sugar? What are simple steps and things you can do? But
yeah, but you know what? How about if we have you back and we can talk about sugar, the epidemic of sugar, because if I can get off of sugar, and we're still live, by the way, if I can get off of sugar, anyone can get off of sugar.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's doable and you will feel so much better because sugar causes inflammation. And this is one thing that I learned as I'm doing this detox, Natasha, that I have, we've given up all starches and carbs for a short period of time. We're starving the mold so that it will die off and doing some other things to make sure that we get rid of it. But I discovered that a medium-sized potato is the equivalent of a cup of sugar. I was stunned by that. So it's making me look at carbs a little different because I think we're eating way too much carbs, just like we're having way too much sugar.
Yeah, we definitely are.
Yes,
it adds up.
Okay, guys. So remember, we have the giveaway. So please remember to text me 407-373-5959. Again, Natasha Beck. You can find her at drorganicmommy.com. Thanks so much for watching today. And I look forward to your return, Natasha.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, take care.